This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring author, psychologist, and daily contributor, Siobhan Scott.
Any of these documentaries, they do have an idea where they want the film to go and what's going to make it most compelling, what's going to make it most watchable. I mean, I think the examples were very much there even in season 2, which we'll get to in just a little bit, that really kind of throw you for a loop. Spoiler alert, there will be spoiler alerts coming up as we talk about this. That was one of the things I was going to ask you about, was your take on some of those neighbors, some of those other folks who did make opinions, medical opinions even, some of the medical evaluations that were done that conflicted with the opinions of other medical professionals. One saying, no, we think, she is 15 years older than she says she is. Others coming out saying, look at these dental records. You can't argue with physiology. I guess, you can have some arguments, mental capacity, things of that nature, but physiology, there's not a lot of changing that.
No, the dental records are irrefutable. You just can't argue with that. And aside from the fact that visibly she has changed so much, clearly was a child at first when they first got her. My thought about the doctor that wrote the letter for court, really questionable. And it was pointed out that he had been long-term friends with the parents. And, in the letter, there was no, they only gave us a very brief glimpse of that. I would love to be able to look over all this documentation in detail, but it really looked like he was doing this as a favor to the parents. And how much are these people that write letters like that, are they just going on the report of the parent, or do they have evidence? And I think the dentist with the dental records, I think that's irrefutable. That's the truth.
Is that common in the medical system, where you get letters written by doctors because they have good relationships, good rapport with some patients, and to their accounts, these are balanced people. They don't seem like anything wrong. They want this letter because this is, of course, I'll do that for you. And it's not that the doctor's necessarily trying to do anything to harm anybody, but certainly, stepping out of the bounds of probably what, ethical behavior is, even though it may feel like the right thing to do at that moment.
Yeah, it's certainly discouraged to do things like that. It happens. I don't think it happens that often, but a lot of people will call therapists, and say, hi, I need an appointment. It's okay. What are you coming in for? I need a letter. And that's always kind of a red flag that, there's a questionable motive there.
It's almost like tell your doctor you need this, as we hear in the prescription ads. Like, I don't want to tell my doctor anything. I want my doctor to tell me what I need based on what I'm expressing is going on around me.
Yeah, it's certainly not good medicine.
And that seems to be what happened here. Let's talk about Michael Barnett a little bit, because he's the one that's mainly featured in this as being the guardian, again, because Christine did not participate. But he's been someone who, if you watch from the very beginning, comes across one way, comes across kind of more stable, balanced, like, okay. And by the end, you got somebody who looks like they're going through a lot of crises of the mind. I think one of the last interviews they did, he looks like he's dressing like he's in Sugar Ray in 1995. By the ball cap, the T-shirt, and just kind of, I don't know. I can only imagine the hoops and the mental hoops that he's gone through. But what's your take on him, on the constant kind of revisionist history that he gives throughout the documentary, and what you feel he's truly all about in this whole ordeal?
Yeah, if you needed a photo in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the DSM, for histrionic personality disorder, you could put his picture right in there. This would be great for grad students to watch this film and say, diagnose the histrionic in this bunch. And what we know about people with that personality type, they do big emotions, they're dramatic, and they're also highly manipulative, along with the other cluster B disorders. They have a lot of those traits of borderline and psychopathy, and they can put on a front. And I did a bit of Googling. Apparently, he has worked in sales, because one has to wonder, what kind of career has this person had? And so, that's, again, a person that can role play. I also wondered about financial incentive. Was he encouraged to emote, encouraged to be dramatic? But my gosh, is he doing harm to his children? You know, the things that he has said now in this program about their mother, it doesn't really matter what you think about, you know, your ex-spouse. You don't denigrate them like that, because I'm sure his kids are hearing this, if
Sure.
not watching it. And he is blatantly calling her evil. And, you know, you just don't do things like that. So yeah, red flags all over the place. There's a lot wrong with this guy. And again, how can you believe anything he says when he's all over the place and changes the story all the time?
Oh, that is, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the beginning, he described, oh, when this all started, I had this ideal marriage and this ideal life. And now he's claiming, no, I was an abuse victim the whole time, you know, which is just strange.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange. I mean, is that personality type, did it lend itself to be an abuse victim? Because I mean, there's an element of that I see where it's like, did you really just kind of keep going along with everything that your wife wanted? Because she very much had the alpha personality, at least that's what's being portrayed. And, you know, you were too cowardice to say no to some of these things. And then, oh, now the spotlight's on you. You better make it look like you didn't want anything to do with these sort of things that were going on. Is there some truth to that he too was a victim of Christine, but at the same point neglected his parental duties? I mean, almost I would say a comparison would be like the Ruby Franke situation, where Kevin Franke is saying he was brainwashed. Seems like a kind of a different, you know, dynamic and everything. But again, one of those where, yeah, you both have become an abuser of some sort here, you know, but one's almost become an abuser, you know, because of, you know, I don't know if Stockholm, you know, is the correct analogy here, but you know, because they've been in that environment for so long that they start to identify with the abuser and then become one themselves.
Yeah, I'm not really buying him as an abuse victim. It just, you know, my gut reaction is this is a way to save his reputation. It's a way to garner sympathy. And I thought it was rather disgusting for him to look at Natalia and say, you know, you and I were both victims here. No, Natalia clearly was a victim. And there's no debate that these people put her in an apartment by herself at approximately 8 years of age. That should get them in jail right there.
Sure.
You know? And so I think he's just trying to save face at this point.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.